Yeah, so I think save the guy.
Well, hello again. It's the OhioRAAM show coming to you from Southwest Ohio. This show is number 78 that we have done. It's being recorded on the 26th of January, but it's probably going to show or be aired on the 27th of March. So spring will be here by the time you see this, but it's not spring here today. We had a snowstorm last night, and I hear that the East Coast, the mayor of New York City said they're going to get the worst snowstorm in history. We'll see how that develops. Well, enough of that. We are sponsored by the two time stations here in Southwest Ohio that's on the Race Across America. The OhioRAAM show is about cycling, ultra-cycling, and the Race Across America. We'll deal with anything cycling, but we often focus on the Race Across America and ultra-cycling itself. Today we're going to go over to England in the United Kingdom. There still is United Kingdom, I understand. That's survived that vote here a while back. And we're going to talk with some of our folks over there. I do want to say that it's time to be thinking about the Race Across America, and I'm putting the dates up there for you to see. The solo and the Race Across the West teams start on June 16th at Oceanside, California. The teams for RAM start on 4 days later on Saturday, June 20th. And so that means here in Ohio, we're very fortunate because this is the place where the teams are catching up with the solo riders. So you have kind of a compression of riders here. The first rider may be through as early as Monday, June 22nd, if we get somebody as fast as Strasser was last year. But we'll see the last ones through on Saturday the 27th. However, if you'd like to come and see the race, and you're new to the Race Across America and you just want to see some racers, the best time to come to our time stations are the days of Wednesday evening through Friday. That's when the bulk of the racers are coming through, and you'll see a lot all at one time. We're open 24 hours a day. We have 24-hour food, 24-hour fuel, 24-hour fans. So if you'd like to see the race or learn about it, there'll be people there who know about the race, can explain it to you, can explain what's going on, and we would like to have you. For those of you who are crews, for riders, for staff, media, officials, we're there to help you on as well. Well, that's enough about that. We're going to get over here to the United Kingdom, and I want to introduce to everybody here David Sapford, who is there in southeastern, I guess, or at least northeast of London, England. How are you doing today, David?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Lee. Very well.
And introduce your guest over there.
With on my left, Dominic Silk. He's one of my teammates.
Hi.
Hi, Dominic. So I brought David on here because he was originally scheduled to do the Race Across America, but he had to delay that. We're going to talk a little bit about some of those issues as we get further into the show. But David, tell me a little about yourself and what you'd like us to know.
Okay, my name's David Sapford. I'm a pharmacist, and I'm also a very, very keen cyclist. On my Twitter page, I say I'm a pro pharmacist, amateur cyclist, yeah, that's sort of me. I started cycling probably about 4 or 5 years ago, yeah, I really enjoy it.
Okay. We got a little interruption here. Don't worry about it. It's
sorry.
Picking up a something from the printer. Okay, and tell me a little about yourself, Dominic.
So hi, my name's Dominic Silk. I'm a doctor. I worked at the same hospital as David, and that's how I got to meet him. And I've not done a lot of cycling, but I've done a lot of marathons and long distance running and things like that.
Okay. And David, tell me a little about your cycling background. How did you get into it? How long you been into it? And and how you got into the distance stuff.
So I was originally quite a keen indoor rower, and when I met my wife, we started going to the gym together, and then we decided that we wanted to start exercising outdoors, and so we started running, and we sort of didn't really get on with running, and then I decided that I was going to continue exercising outdoors and bought myself a bike, and I haven't looked back really. In terms of distance cycling, the furthest I've done is only 150 miles, but I'm certainly intending on increasing that, and yeah, so we're coming to race RAAM 2016 now, and yeah, we'll give it a shot.
Okay, and how about you, Dominic? You say you're a runner, but have you done any cycling particularly?
I've done a little bit, but nothing like as much as David. But I used to do a lot of rowing back at university, and then after university, I did a lot of rowing, and I can't get involved with that so much now because it's team sport and it's difficult for me. There's not a river in where I live, so I'm gonna take up cycling as the next thing and do the endurance racing like that.
Okay, very well. Now, you said something before we went on the air, David, about you're going to try to work on the John O'Groats to Land's End. Was that what you were?
Yeah, we were originally planning on racing the RAAM this year, and for several reasons we've decided to delay a year. But as preparation, one of the things that we're really certainly quite keen on doing is doing John O'Groats Land's End. Land's End, John O'Groats Land's End, and we're thinking about that a bit later in the year. And the plan would be to do it almost as a dry run for the RAAM, so we'd be riding around the clock in exactly the same manner that we plan on doing for RAAM.
And are you going to shoot for some kind of time goal there, or shoot for a record, or what?
I don't think we will. We'll just ride as hard as we can, and for as long as we can, and see what we can do. Really, it's again for all of us. We're all reasonably experienced cyclists, but in terms of this sort of distance, this sort of, I suppose, condition of riding around the clock and sleeping on the move and things like that, we're all all very amateur and inexperienced. So it's really just an opportunity for us to work out what our problems are going to be and what the difficulties are. So we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I had a friend and his wife who did that on a tandem. Well, they went one way, and I believe, is it about 1,100 miles one way?
Yeah, I think it's about that.
Is it that far?
Yeah, it's quite a long way. It's a good 1,000 miles, I think.
Is it 1,000? It might be 1,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll give us a good feel for how the RAAM will be, I guess.
Well, they stopped at some friends we have in Scotland, took a little detour there, so they might have added a few miles. But
very nice.
Mm.
So your idea is to do it round trip?
Yep. Start and finish at Land's End.
Well, having been over some of those roads, particularly as you get up to the north, there are some challenges there, aren't there?
Definitely.
A lot of hills up there.
Definitely. I must admit, I quite like the hills. I'm definitely looking forward to the Rockies.
Well, and I've said this many times before, it's been said on here, if you like the Rockies, you'll just love West Virginia.
Looking forward to it.
It's the underrated part of the ride. First of all, you're getting pretty well into the trip, about 2,500 miles when you hit them, and they can really throw a ringer on you. They're not as high, but boy, there's some climbs there. They're doozies. I was riding across the state once, and I stopped at a truck stop, and I talked to this trucker, and he said if they'd ironed this state out, it would be as big as Texas. Oh, everybody that's watching, you're saying, and he just says that every time he's on the show. Okay, So I did. Hey guys, now you had a charitable goal, David, and we want to get into that a little bit. And let's talk about that and how that came to be. And I think this has to do with your father. Let's talk a little bit about your father, who he was, what his lifestyle was, and just what was going on there.
Wow. How long do you want me to talk for, Lee?
Well, I'll wave at you when it's time to cut it off.
Okay. No, he's genuinely he was the most active, inspirational man I've met, and he was just had a real thirst for life. Just 4 or 5 years ago, he'd sailed his yacht around Britain, and for his entire life had been fit, well, active. Then, 25 years ago, he had a pacemaker fitted for a few problems with his heart, and was reasonably well with it. He then, about 4 years ago, perhaps 3 years ago, he started to become slightly more unwell and sort of started to develop heart failure, and was eventually diagnosed with restrictive cardiomyopathy, and the only treatment for it was for a heart transplant. And the very moment they started suggesting that, I figured we've got something that we can really a cause that we can really support, and a really good reason to do it. So the plan was that we'd raise the RAM, and try and encourage people to sign up to the organ donor register, which is sort of hence the T-shirt, and also to raise money for the British Heart Foundation. Our target is £20,000. So far, we've just broken £5,000, so we're just over a quarter of the way there. We're really delighted with that. Yeah, so my real hope was actually that Dad would have his transplant, and then he could come out and meet us at the finish line. So on the 24th, I think, of September, 22nd of September last year, he had the call to say that they had a donor heart for him, and he was whizzed up to Papworth Hospital, and 5 weeks later, after suffering a great deal of complications, unfortunately he didn't make it. So we're now doing the RAM. We've decided to delay a year, just because training has sort of taken a bit of a dent since then, and we've got a sort of few other small reasons to delay as well. But we're now racing in 2016 in Dad's memory.
Well, I remember we started chatting about having you on the show before the transplant was in the picture.
Yes, that's right.
And then when that occurred, we put everything kind of in delay till that got settled down, and then of course when your father died as a result of complications there, we just kind of put it aside for a while till you had the chance to get things kind of sorted out in the situation there. But we're glad to have you back with us. Well, let's talk a little bit about the whole organ donation scheme in the United Kingdom. I already know the answer to the question. Do you have enough organs? The answer is no, I'm sure. How is the general feeling among people about donating? Are people doing it? Are you having reluctance getting people to sign up for donations? How's that going?
What do you think, Tom?
Well, I don't think enough people know what the demand is for organs for transplantation. I think that people think there's a ready stock of them, and that if they need one, they'll get one. But the truth of the matter is that the people who are on the organ waiting list, they're the only ones who really know enough about it, and they're the only ones that recognise there's a real shortage. most people go through life not thinking that they either going to need one, so they don't think about needing to give one. And I think that there's big campaigns at the moment to try and raise awareness so that people do sign up. There's been thoughts about having people automatically signed into giving their organs, and that they would have to actively sign out, but that isn't the process at the moment. So there's a chronic shortage, and the waiting list can be, I mean, it can be years for the right donor to come up. And so, you know, part of the plan that David wants is that we can really raise the profile on the organ donor register and get a lot of people signed up. So there's lots of healthy hearts, you know, to be given, you know, in the tragic circumstances if that happens. But yeah, there's not enough people signed up at the moment.
And tell me a little bit.
Sorry, yeah, I was just going to say that we've. In what we're doing, we've had lots of people on Facebook saying that they are now organ donor registers. They've taken little selfies with their organ donor cards in their hands, and so we're definitely getting some engagement and talking to people. They'll sort of come up, and occasionally they'll just come up in the street and say, "Oh, I see what you're doing, and I've signed up."
I don't think people don't want to sign up. They just don't know.
Exactly.
They just don't know about it. They just don't think about it. So it's getting people to just think about it and actually sign up. Nobody really minds, I don't think, being on the register. They just haven't done it automatically.
And how in the United Kingdom, how does a person go about signing up?
Oh,
it's very easy.
So simple.
It's really easy.
You go on to organdonation.nhs.uk, and it takes about 2 minutes.
Okay, and I will put that link on the show notes so that people watching the show from United Kingdom can go there and do that. We're going to talk a little more about links here in a minute, but we'll make sure that there'll be a place. And if you're on the OhioRAAMshow.com, watching this on OhioRAAMshow.com site, right below my chin there, you'll see some links, one of which will be the donation site. And if you're watching on YouTube or one of the embedded sites somewhere, a playlist that people have on their sites, you will have to go to OhioRAAMshow.com to see that link, along with some other links we'll talk about here. But while I got my picture up, I just want to say that here in Ohio, when you go to get your driver's operator license, you are asked whether or not you wish to be a donor. Language. Anyhow, you're asked to be whether or not you wish to be an organ donor, and you can sign up right then and there when you get your driver's license renewed, which here in Ohio I believe is every 4 years, I think. My wife just did hers a few days ago, so that's one way we do it here. I don't know. Of course, we have many states. It's a little different than what you have over there, and different states do this in different ways. We have had a little bit of resistance to this at times. I was involved in one case where a friend of ours' wife had a stroke, and she was on life support, and they were going to. This isn't a very good way to say it, Doctor. I don't know how you say it. Pull the plug. But they called us and asked us to sit in on the conference as to whether or not she would be a donor. And we're allowed here, I don't know if that's true in the United Kingdom, to actually say what organs they may or may not have. In that case, they said, well, you can take everything, but we'd rather not take the heart. I suppose there's some emotional connection, you know, with the heart that is there, but so that was
I've heard very similar stories myself.
Yeah, you know, it's a learning experience for us as human beings to think about these things. I mean, 50 years ago, this wasn't even a possibility.
No.
But on the other hand, I have two friends, both of whom have received liver donations, which I understand is a little bit more of a challenge in some ways. And but the one has been now close to 20 years, and during that time, the anti-rejection drugs have improved quite a bit. I think he had some trouble at first, but isn't that not true, Doctor? That the anti-rejection drugs are better than they were a number of years ago?
I think so, and I definitely, and I think that the side effects of these are reducing, and people can live without the ill effect of that. We're getting better at tissue typing so that people can get, if they are matched, that it's a closer match to what they need.
That's probably the greater. That's
yeah.
probably the more important issue, actually.
Yeah, but I mean, the main thing it comes down to is having enough, for want of a better word, enough stock of organs. You know, should something be needed. So that the waiting times are getting longer. I mean, things like 20, 30 years ago, when we didn't have seatbelt restrictions and there were more motorcyclists on the road and things like that, you had more people sadly dying and needing to, and then they had healthy organs to be giving. That doesn't. There's not so much of that now. So yeah, there aren't enough organs to go around for those that are on the waiting list.
It's kind of an irony, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
We save lives by doing one thing, but then there are others that suffer. Yeah.
Do you have any idea of how many potential organs are not harvested that you could use? Is there any idea of what might be out there that that's
no idea. No idea. There's a great big national data collection thing going on at the moment, and there's a big drive towards highlighting patients that may be suitable for donation. But goodness, I don't know. I don't know if that data's out there. I'd be very interested to know if it was.
And it depends on the type. I mean, so the scenario you're giving is of what would be called a beating heart donor. So someone who's brain dead, but their heart is working, they're cardiovascularly intact and are working, but there's no potential for any recovery from the brain injury. Those kind of injuries are, those kind of donor organs are really really highly sought after, I suppose, because they're going to be healthier by the time they get transplanted. The other type of something is where someone arrives and they're never going to survive, and they've had sort of multiple injuries, and then they then are often you might involve the family to say, can you have you ever thought about organ donation? And you might miss the chance. By the time you've had the decision made, the organ has already sort of deteriorated before it's transplanted. So a lot about getting people on the organ donor register would be that if they were to suffer an irrecoverable illness, that their organs could be taken or harvested once a decision has been made to, like you say, pull the plug, turn off a ventilator, or turn off a life support machine, and those organs would be better. Well,
I've been curious about this. Of course, I've signed up to be an organ donor, but I'm 80 years old, and I have some systemic disease. Would I be a candidate for anything?
It depends. So they will test the organs, or they will. Oh, sorry. Sort of. It will be dependent on what your health is. So you may not be able to give all tissue types, but if you've got well-functioning kidneys, that might work. You may not have your heart transplanted. It would be the way the register works, as I understand it, is that if an organ is considered to be available, then it goes around the transplant centres, not physically, but it is computer linked to discussion rooms, and people will decide whether or not they think the organ is from a suitable donor for the candidate that they're considering the transplantation into. And there's the sort of weighing up of how desperate the person is for an organ to be transplanted as a recipient to get one, and the quality of the organ that you can get. There's no absolute, I don't think. So,
well,
who
the race across America has been well represented in the past with Team Donate Life here, who sometimes puts up several teams. I don't think they had anybody last year, but they have had some remarkable stories. I remember there was one team a couple of years ago where they had a person on the team. I think it was an 8-person team. One of the people there had received an organ, and the person who had donated that organ was also on the team, which was kind of a interesting.
Must be a kidney.
Yes, it was a kidney, and so they had both these people. Another time they had a very young lad on the team who needed a organ. I forget what it was exactly, but the surgeon who anticipated doing the surgery if an organ became available was also on the team. So we've had those kind of scenarios to highlight this need. So this is a very very important program, and all I can say is if you're out there, wherever you are in the world, you find out what your system is and get yourself signed up. I mean, what better way to make an impact at your death than to have your life extended some way? I don't want to get mystical about it, folks, but there's a kind of mystery here that I think most of us who are not scientists really don't appreciate.
I think ask any relative, family member if they had a relative that was in need of an organ, they'd want them to have it, and I think it does work. It works on both feet.
Well, listen, I thank you people for being with us here tonight. This has been an interesting discussion about a very, very important issue. And David, I do hope that your Land's End John O'Groats and back again turns out very well. We'll be seeing how we want to be hearing on your Facebook or somewhere about how that's going, and we will be putting on. Let's get up here. I think I have this up. You can see this page here that will share. Let me get that up for you. This is your donation page.
My dad.
That's your dad. Cool.
And I will have also at the below my chin. Well, you don't see my chin now, but you'll see a link on the show notes at OhioRAAMshow.com to his donation page. You have 5,184 pounds and 10 pence there now, and we'll see if we can't help you get that boosted up just a little bit there.
Good man, thank you.
And we were anticipating seeing you here this year, but hopefully we will be seeing you there next year.
You'll definitely see us next year.
100%.
So before we end this, we'd like to say, give you folks a chance to say any final thoughts that might be on your mind that you'd like to share with us.
Well, firstly to yourself, Lee, a very, very big thank you indeed for giving us the opportunity to come on.
Yeah, thanks.
And just everybody that's donated money, we're eternally grateful. Lots of the donations have been in Dad's memory, following his funeral and things, and we're super grateful to everybody that's given anything, and additionally to those that have signed up to the organ donor register, we're encouraging people to do it. Additionally, actually, I'm donating my own blood at the moment as well. Not currently right now, but I'm I've just started attending sessions to give blood, because the amount of blood products that Dad had while he was in hospital was tremendous. So that's another way that you can help. You can register to donate blood. So there we go.
Well, that's another good thing, and I tell you, it's a good feeling. You just feel a little stick, and it doesn't amount to too much. And here in the United States, you get cookies and juice and all these nice things, and people treat you really well, and you get the sticker to show how brave you were, and it's well worth it. Hey, thanks again, guys, for being with us here. I didn't tell you at the beginning, but I'm Lee Kreider, the host of the show. Enough said about that. Let's talk a little bit about the show itself, which is at OhioRAAMshow.com if you're seeing it someplace else other than the website. If you go there, we would appreciate it. If you see us on Facebook, we would appreciate you giving us a little like or a share there. How these things work, the more likes and shares you get, the more it's seen. That's just the way Facebook plays the game. And the more it's seen, the more people get to hear about organ donation, and get to hear about David, and get to hear about ultra-cycling. Whether or not it does anything for my ego is quite irrelevant, although it does a little bit for that too, I have to say. It feels good. Thank you. And same thing on Google+. If you see us there, give us a plus, a share, comment, anything like that. And on Twitter, you may see us, give us a share there, and give us a retweet there, and that's appreciated. On the website, there's a place you can sign up for an email notification of when shows are going to happen. That's there. There's a place you can make comments, and there's also links to a couple other places, such as ultraracenews.com, which is where you can find an awful lot about what's going on in the field of ultra racing, and also the official website for ridefarther.com, which is the gateway to Race Across America, and all the information that you'll find there. Those links will be on the show as well. That's all on the OhioRAAMshow.com. And we just want to say thank you all for watching. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. And
thank you.
We wish you all the best. And all the best to everybody out there as well. Bye-bye.